Hey everyone, it's Rachel. Welcome to my family table, where I'm going to share with you what my family had for dinner this week. Let's get started. For our first dinner of the week, we had sheet pan Santa Fe chicken, which I am preparing my sheet pan by spraying it with some nonstick spray and then setting a big piece of parchment paper on top just to keep it in place. I was really busy in my kitchen on this day doing other food type of activities and figured a sheet pan dinner would be easy to put together and I wouldn't have to take up more time away from what I was working on. My original plan was to add some uh, halved baked potatoes on the sheet pan with the chicken, but Cameron asked to have these pierogies, so I thought I'd give it a try on a sheet pan and see how they turned out. So I'm just laying those all out flat, and then I'm going to cook this asparagus alongside my chicken and pierogies on the sheet pan as well. So I just got those cleaned up and I'm just cutting them into smaller pieces so that I can arrange them nicely on the sheet pan. I arranged the asparagus in thicker sections because they're really thin and they cook up so fast. And I knew that the chicken and the pierogies would take longer. So this way they kind of just get a nice steam going on the under parts of it. My chicken was really thick. Even after I cut the breasts in half, they were still really thick pieces of chicken breast. And so the next step is I just drizzled some olive oil on top of each of the chicken breasts. And then I'm going to come back in and give them a nice massage and get that olive oil spread all over so that the seasoning has something to stick to. I started to comment on how lucky this chicken was to get a massage, but I guess he wasn't a very lucky chicken after all. So then I'm just coming back with one of these one sheet pan seasoning mixes by McCormick. I picked this up on sale at Ollie's, and there's so much in these packets that I had way too much, more than I needed for these chicken breasts, but I just used the whole pack because why not? I mean, more flavor, right? And so I did drizzle some olive oil on the pierogies because I didn't want them to get super dried out or anything. My original plan was to use butter, and I think that they probably would have had a better flavor with the butter, just my preference, but I just brushed on the olive oil on the asparagus and the pierogies, and I'm just hitting them with a little bit of salt on this side. I did get some of that seasoning on the other side, so I just went with it and spread it all over. But I didn't know if Cameron would like that flavor on them or if he would be picky about it, so I just left the others a little plain with just some salt. And then I got these little heart-shaped cookies set up so that they could go in the oven also because we are just horrible about liking something sweet in the evening. That's like one of the bad habits we need to work on, is not feeling like we need to have um, a sugary sweet snack later in the evening. But for now, we're just going to go with it. And so I was making salads for my family, and because of my dietary restrictions, I can't eat lettuce. So I always try to make myself a little something similar. So my version of a salad on this day was to dice up some avocado into small pieces and then mix it all together with the tomatoes and blue cheese, and then just drizzle with some olive oil. And this way I kind of feel like I'm having a salad as well on the side with my dinner. And it's kind of like using what I would put on their salad and just not having the lettuce with it. So I just used a half of an avocado, sliced it up in the peel, and then I'm using a spoon to scoop those little cubes out and get them into a little bowl so that I can mix everything together. And then I'm just having my little tomatoes and getting some of those tossed in the bowl as well. And I just really am liking these tomatoes. They were so flavorful and good, especially for wintertime. Normally, I don't enjoy tomatoes in the winter because they're so bland, and I really miss my tomatoes from my garden, but these were really good. Anyway, I just put a few chunks of that blue cheese on top, and I'm going to mix that all in, and then I'm going to drizzle with the oil, like I said, just to give it a little something. I kind of think that I would have preferred this with some Italian salad dressing, and that would have been good as well, but I was trying to keep it simple, and I wasn't really sure with the blue cheese if I wanted a lot of zesty flavor going on. So then I'm just sprinkling in some everything but the bagel seasoning on that, and that is my little bit of crunch. And this was a really good alternative to a salad. So going back to our sheet pan, this is what it turned out like, and this is how the pierogies turned out when baking them in the oven. They kind of puffed up a little bit. And then my oven is so uneven when it cooks. We had the ones on the right side are softer than the ones on the left side. And of course, my oven also isn't level. So some of the juices from the chicken kind of ran to the right, and everything on that side was a little juicier than the other side, but it all turned out well. And we liked this Santa Fe chicken and the asparagus and everything. It was just really easy meal to put together. And here is my plate with my little salad right there. And yeah, super easy and delicious meal without a lot of effort going into it, so that I had some time freed up to do other things in the kitchen. For dinner number 2, I made bacon blue cheese stuffed burgers. I got the recipe from this Taste of Home Farmhouse Favorites cookbook that I picked up at Ollie's for $4.99, and I am just loving a lot of the recipes in it. Obviously, I have lots of tabs in it, and I plan to try many of them. So this recipe in particular is from Christine Keating of Norwalk, California. And of course, I made them to suit the way that we wanted to eat them. So I just wanted to share that recipe with you and then share how I made them. And I started by making my hamburger patties, and we did them really thin because these are going to be stuffed burgers, so I'll be using 2 patties for each burger. And I am just placing them in my cast iron skillet with the seasoned side down. And then I'm coming back in with some shredded mozzarella cheese. Now, the original recipe called for cream cheese, but I didn't have any. Of course, I'm never prepared like that. So I am just putting in some mozzarella cheese, and then I'm going to come back in and put some of that crumbled up blue cheese in there as well. And I'm leaving one plain because I have a child who doesn't like cheese on his burger at all, and I'm sure he doesn't like blue cheese. So obviously, if you don't like blue cheese, you could trade out the kind of cheese that you're putting inside, but Bill and I love blue cheese, so that's why we decided to make these. We were really excited about this recipe. And then next I'm coming in with some bacon. I had this bacon from the day before. I had Bill made French toast for our breakfast, and so I just had him make a couple packs extra while he was doing that, and then we put it in the freezer in Ziploc baggies, and then that way we had bacon to use throughout the week whenever we wanted it. And I knew that it would save me some time on this day when I was making these blue cheese and bacon burgers. After I got our filling into the middle of the burgers, then I'm coming back with the other patty with the seasoning side up. And then I'm just putting that other patty on top and then kind of pressing around the edges to give it a good seal. And I'm going to do that with all 4 burgers until they are all ready to be flipped over, which is going to be a little while because these end up being pretty thick burgers, so they take a little while to cook through. And we like our burgers well done, so I know other people eat them to different doneness, and that's up to you if you like your burger a little medium rare or medium well or whatever. But we are a well done type of family, so I let these cook for quite a while. And we also like to have that little bit of a crispy charred edge on our burgers. So that's why I'm using the cast iron, because I feel like you can really get that crispy charred burger in the house. And sometimes you get that on the grill, but also you can achieve that by using a cast iron skillet. And so I'm doing the first turn with these. I did turn them over just to kind of get them cooking all the way through. And I just give them a little bit of a squeeze just to make sure that they're staying completely sealed together. And anyway, I think I do go back in and give them another flip just so that they can continue browning on those sides, because I wasn't completely happy with the way that they looked yet. And like I said, we like them to be really crispy. So after they cooked a little longer, I just gave them another flip. And that is exactly what I wanted my burger to look like. And that's just how we enjoy them. Obviously, you don't have to cook your burger that well done or crispy, but we kind of linger on the burnt edge when it comes to most foods. And this was a work night for us, so I was just trying to keep dinner really simple and easy. So burgers are always a quick way to get dinner going fast. I heated up some hash browns in a skillet alongside of it in some bacon grease and just got them crispy and put some cheese and bacon on top of those. I guess the theme for today is bacon, right? So I'm having my burger on sourdough bread. I could have toasted it, but I just wasn't feeling it, and I'm just putting some mayo on mine, and that's pretty much all I'm going to do with my burger. Now, I believe Bill ended up putting another slice of cheese on top of his burger too, which is fine if you want it to be really cheesy, but this was just fine for me. I really enjoyed the just the beefiness of the burger, and then with the bacon and the blue cheese inside, it was so flavorful and good. I did add a little ketchup, which you don't see on here, but I am kind of like obsessed with ketchup, so it kind of goes on everything. And here in a sec, I will give you a look at how these burgers turned out on the inside, and they were just so good. We really love these, and we'll be making them again. Tuesdays at our house usually end up being Crockpot Tuesdays because it's the day that I work late. I don't get home until about 8:30 at night, so I like to put something in the crock pot before I go to work so that it's ready when the guys are home and I'm not. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. So on this day, I am just adding the rest of the chicken breast that I prepared on Sunday and put in the fridge in a Ziploc bag. Wasn't sure what I was going to make with it, but I knew that having it already cut up into pieces would be very helpful later in the week. So I just added a bag of broccoli and some of the remaining bacon from Sunday. And then I'm just adding some partially dehydrated onions. On Sunday, I did test out my dehydrator on some onions and some celery. And so I already had some sliced onions in my refrigerator ready to go for this dish as well. And then I'm just adding a lot of garlic. I really wanted this to be as garlicky as possible. I mean, without going overboard. I mean, we're not warding off vampires or anything, but we like garlic, and I wanted to put a good amount of minced garlic into this dish because it is kind of an Alfredo type of dish. And so I get a seasoned up with some salt and some pepper. Pepper is kind of my thing, so I use a lot of it in almost everything that I cook. And so it is now my family's thing also. Whatever, it's my choice, right? And so anyway, I just got that in the crock pot for an hour or so, and then I added the cooked macaroni noodles just because macaroni noodles was what I had on hand. And so, I mean, obviously, I could have used a different type of pasta, but I figured this one is kind of the sturdiest, or whatever you want to call it, pasta, and would hold up better in the crock pot. I didn't want it to get like really, really mushy, although circumstances were such that it did kind of turn to mush before I was able to get to it, but that's all right. Sometimes that happens with crockpot, but it still had a good flavor. And so I am just kind of sort of mixing up an Alfredo sauce, a jarred Alfredo sauce, into the top portion of the crockpot. I wanted to make sure that the chicken stayed on the bottom and that like the pasta and everything else was on top, just so that the pasta didn't cook to, mush or disintegrate and then whatever. So that's what I did. And I added some of the shredded mozzarella cheese that I had shredded up on Sunday as well to the top of that. Just put the lid on and then let it go on low. So I probably could have turned it down to warm and it would have been fine. My crock pot cooks really high. And this is what it looked like when I got to it at 8:30. Everybody else ate a little earlier in the day, but I thought this was really good. It had a nice flavor. It was a little on the mushy side, but it wasn't bad at all. And I feel like it touched on several different flavor notes. It was very robust and garlicky and cheesy, and it also had a nice green vegetable in there, so it was kind of healthy, but also with the chicken, it had a little less fat than like your typical beef or sausage or something like that. So, anyway, this was dinner. Dinner on Wednesday night ended up being pizza from Pizza Hut. So, do you ever have like just one of those really bad, awful, I don't even want to talk about it kind of days? Well, me too. So, we ended up having pizza that Dawson ordered, and we were really grateful that he took care of dinner that day. The next night, we got together with some family to celebrate some birthdays, and we had, you guessed it, pizza again. For our last dinner, I just made some taquitos that I topped with enchilada sauce and cheese and then just baked in the oven. I have seen this before and it has been suggested that I make this. It was okay for what it was. We don't usually buy taquitos, so it's not something that we're really familiar with eating here. But it was pretty, it was good. It was okay. I guess it was just different. And thinking back after we started eating, I was like, I wish I would have just made regular enchiladas, but that's all right. I just topped it with some queso cheese that I shredded. And in my little mini crock pot, I have some Velveeta, some cooked and crumbled sausage, and some salsa to make a dip to go with some tortilla chips. This was just something that I was craving and wanted. So, and then to kind of dress it up a little, I just made or chopped up some green onions and chopped up some cilantro because I just kind of try to add a little bit of some fresh elements when I'm making something out of boxed processed foods, if that makes any sense. So this is what my plate looked like, and I'm putting the cheese on my chips, and then I'm gonna just put my toppings on my taquitos. I think I have like 3 or 4 taquitos here. I don't know. I can't really tell. There's so much going on with it. And like I said, this was okay. It's just not something that we're used to eating, but I've seen it on YouTube and social media, so I thought I'd give it a try. And maybe if I do make it again, I'll just make the recipe my own. And these are the beef taquitos. And my sour cream skills are not fancy at all. So next I just put on my green onions and some cilantro. And then, of course, as an afterthought, I'm like, oh, I need my hot sauce. And so that's where everything gets ugly. So anyway, this was dinner for that night. And this is our last meal for the video. I know that this is a shorter video than what I usually make, but I didn't cook at home every day this week. And that's okay. We just had a lot of birthdays in the month of January. Thank you so much for coming by for this week's What's for Dinner. I appreciate you so much. And if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button so that you can see more of my videos in the future. Bye for now.